Hey y'all. So yesterday, a friend called me and we had a long conversation about her relationship and how, she felt things were going to the left and she didn't know how to stop it. And I just spent after we got off the phone, I just spent a lot of time wondering why she wanted to stop it. Like, why, if you feel like it's going in the wrong direction, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we shouldn't try to stand in the way of fate. And so today I woke up and I was thinking, okay, you told me that your significant other said that you were too clingy, too dependent on them for your happiness. That's basically what she said. Her significant other said that they rely too much on the other person to make them happy. And I'm like, well, that sounds like codependency. That sounds like somebody that needs a hit of a C pipe to be well and be happy. And if they're not, they're going through, like, what's that thing called? Where those people are, like, sick, physically sick because they can't get their hands on what their fix. Withdrawal. Like, if you, like, after a breakup or, an argument or whatever, you're feeling like you're physically sick, that's a warning sign that things are not going like they're supposed to go in your relationship. If you are physically ill because of this other person deciding that they don't want to be as close to you or know you anymore. So this is what this video is about. This video is about codependency and the pitfalls of codependency and what it is and how we can overcome codependency. So one of the first things I want to say is don't ever let anyone tell you who you are. My friend said that person said that they were clingy. Okay, don't listen to someone telling you what you are and who you are. That's number one. But let's talk about codependency. Codependency refers to a specific relationship, addiction, characterized by preoccupation and extreme dependence. So emotional, it could be physical, it could be social, and even spiritual. I've even heard of spiritual codependence in a relationship. And that codependency is this addiction on another person. So I've seen people change their religious beliefs because of another person. And that's just kind of interesting to me. I've always been, interested in knowing why somebody would change their religious beliefs for a person that they're in a relationship with. But here we go. The main consequence of codependency is that codependents are busy taking care of others. They forget to take care of themselves, resulting in a disturbance of identity development. So what was happening when we have codependency is we're focused so much on the other person that we change our identity. It's kind of like going from like Clark Kent to Superman. Like that kind of switch can be very dynamic. What does codependency actually look like? Some things that have been found to correlate with codependency include low self-esteem. That's a very big one. Depression, anxiety, stress, low emotional expressivity. So they don't express themselves a lot, their emotions specifically when they're in a codependent relationship. My friend said she felt like she was walking on eggshells around that person because she didn't want to overshare or, be looked at as strange or weird or clingy. Like she said, one of her main worries was that she was going to be perceived as clingy, and this is what this person actually said to her, that they felt they were clingy. Other signs of codependency include having a hard time saying no, having poor boundaries, and boundaries is something we're going to talk about maybe in another video, showing emotional reactivity. So instead of, emotionally taking things in and then taking a while to think about it, you're ready to react and respond immediately. Feeling compelled to take care of others, having a need for control, especially over others, having a need to control what people think about you or how they feel about you. You can't control that. So that's just one of those interesting things. Having trouble communicating honestly. If you feel like you're walking on eggshells, you're probably not going to be honest if somebody asks you something and you feel like it's going to hurt their feelings, because if you're walking on eggshells, you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to cause any waves. Fixating on mistakes. A lot of times she beats herself up for things that she thinks that she did wrong. Feeling a need to be liked by everyone. Feeling a need to always be in a relationship. Denying one's needs, thoughts, and feelings. having intimacy issues, confusing love and pity. That's another one of those things that we're going to talk about, how people confuse those two things. Displaying fear of abandonment. So how to differentiate between a healthy relationship and a codependent relationship. In a healthy relationship, both individuals have a sense of autonomy and independence, and they are able to maintain their own identities while still being connected to who they choose to be with. While in a codependent relationship, one person may sacrifice their own needs and wants in order to please the other person, and they become overly enmeshed in, and they lose their sense of self when they do that. Like when you suppress your own thoughts and desires to please someone else, you basically are it's kind of like you're becoming them. Like, that's one of the big red flags of a codependent relationship. When a person spends most of their time worrying about how they need to please the other one, how they can make that other person happy, what they need to do and change about themselves to make this person want them more and love them. That's the prime, like, flashing red light of a codependent relationship. Additionally, in codependent relationships, there is often an imbalance of power, with one person being overly controlling and dominant. Now, sometimes the person's not controlling and dominant. Sometimes that other person just keeps giving this person power. So when I think about that, I think about when I was around my friend the last time I visited her. We were always like trying to go find something to eat. I was on vacation, so I'm like, I'm not cooking, but we were always trying to go find something to eat. And I would like, okay, well, I'm open to whatever. And the first thing she would do is look at her significant other. Well, what do you want to eat? Why? Like every day, the first thing she would look at that person and ask them what they wanted. Sometimes people give their control over freely. So don't think that this person is a narcissist in a codependent relationship, because they might not be a narcissist. That other person might just decide to give them the power all the time. All right, so codependency prevents us from having healthy, balanced relationships where the needs of both people are recognized and met. A codependent relationship will leave you frustrated, exhausted, and ultimately unfulfilled. You're not supposed to, a relationship is supposed to pour into you. You're not supposed to always pour out into other people. So it has to be balanced. And it reinforces the belief that you're defective or unworthy in a codependent relationship. That's how my friend feels right now. She's like, what's wrong with me? Why did I drive this person away? If we do break up, it's going to be all my fault. And I'm like, it's not going to be your fault. If y'all break up, it's because it's supposed to happen. Because that person's time in your life is over, and it has nothing to do with you. Even though that person is pointing the finger at you, please do not take it personally, even though it's very difficult when you're listening to somebody say, you're this and you're that. Just know that if it is the end of your relationship, that God, the universe, said that it's time for that person to be out of your life and be ready for a new person. But let's go back. Okay. The most important thing to remember is that while everyone has loved ones and feels responsible for those loved ones, it can be unhealthy when you hinge your own identity on the thoughts and feelings of someone else. Like, don't do that. Please. If I could say anything, please do not lose yourself in another person. You were born by yourself. You were not born attached to this other person. So therefore, you should not hinge anything that has to do with you on another person. Ultimately, everyone is responsible for their own actions and feelings. Codependency plays out in relationships, like our love relationships, but it is rooted in how we feel about ourselves. And since you can only change yourself, not others, changing codependency relationship patterns starts with modifying how you think, how you feel, and how you treat yourself. Increase your self-worth. Low self-worth is a common component of codependency. Often codependents feel like there's something wrong with them, so they seek validation. So in the case of my friend, she sought validation in her significant other, and now she's calling up seeking validation from me. Like, I don't mind having conversations with my friend to make her feel better because I care about her, but ultimately she's going to have to realize that seeking outside validation is one of the main issues that she's going to have to overcome. You know, sometimes they feel a sense of, they're afraid of rejection. She's afraid of being rejected and do things to prove her worth. She's all, like I said, when I was there, what do you want to eat? What do you see? I'm always there for you. I'm always putting your feelings and thoughts first. That's a problem. You don't have to do that to prove your worth to that person. They're going to see it without you bending over backwards. So this sets up as caretakers. So we need to be needed and to have a purpose. That happens in life. The fact that we're taking care of someone else and we're putting their needs first, that's somewhat giving us a purpose. However, we tend to do this at our own expense. Instead of focusing solely on what others need, we can start considering our own needs. We can acknowledge and validate our own feelings and treat ourselves with compassion. These things aren't easy to do, but we can take small, intentional actions towards this goal, such as saying something kind to ourselves or setting boundaries. Now, I understand that setting boundaries can be difficult for some people. Some people are better at setting boundaries than others, but I do think that everyone should practice setting boundaries. Boundaries can help you retain a sense of identity and personal space, and they are easier to create and maintain than people might think. Boundaries are clear guidelines that are established to help you clearly communicate behavior you will accept from others and behaviors others can expect from you. You can't see them, but their lines help you stay you and provide a sense of mutual respect, protection, expectations, and support. When it comes to your life as a couple, like in a relationship, consider there are actually 3 entities involved. You have yourself, you have your significant other, and you have the relationship itself. And boundaries need to be defined for each. Each of these 3 entities need to be sustained, nourished, and feel respected. So you need to feel sustained, nourished, and respected. Your partner needs to be sustained, nourished, and respected. And the relationship itself needs to be sustained, nourished, and feel respected. So I would say start with building boundaries early. Like start by, at the very beginning of a relationship, saying who you are and what you expect. And I think that's one of the main things that people are lacking in relationships today is when you meet someone, it's best to get those boundaries out on the table. Okay, so when I met my husband, we talked about what was considered cheating. I thought that was very important to me. I have had experience in my life where people cheated on me, and he had experience in his life that his girlfriend cheated on him. So that was important to me okay, what is considered cheating? Is texting another person that is, of the opposite sex considered cheating? Is having conversations with a person of the opposite sex considered cheating? Is looking at the P word, consider cheating. So it's good to start early. It's much easier to introduce boundaries at the start or early on in a relationship rather than years down the road, especially once habits and routines have been established and both partners are more emotionally invested. It's never too late to create boundaries, but it might be more difficult to enforce them once those bonds have already been, those routines have already been established. So once this person has been texting someone to say, let me see your phone. I need to be a phone detective and look through your phone after at the beginning, you didn't say that texting was wrong. Like, it's important to let people know at the very beginning how you would like to be treated rather than, after bad things are starting to happen. Conversation is key. No matter how awkward you may feel about talking about your emotions or more weird subjects like fantasies and all that other stuff people wanted to bring, a two-way discussion is vital in boundary setting. Communication is the key to relationships. You need to have discussions even when things are difficult to talk about. You still need to be able to do that. Otherwise, your relationship is doomed. Not only do these discussions help both partners understand the extent and rules of the boundaries, but they provide an opportunity to explain why you value a particular boundary. Research suggests that couples who check in regularly and open up about experiences have greater relationship satisfaction overall. Getting to know yourself better as codependents, we get so wrapped up in people pleasing and taking care of others that we often become disconnected with ourselves. We disconnect from who we actually are because we're pouring into this relationship and we're pouring into this other person. Remember, I said there are 3 pieces to that relationship puzzle. When we forget that first piece, that us piece, we become disconnected from ourselves. We may no longer know what we feel or think because we've suppressed it so long. You may not pursue your goals or hobbies because you gave them up to spend more time with the person that you cared about. You poured into your relationship instead of even also pouring into yourself. So you may need to get reacquainted with yourself. Take any type of breaks in a relationship to find out what you get back to knowing who you are. And so what's so wild is some people don't even know who they are. They've been in relationships so long, one relationship with this person, then right after that, they got another relationship that got out of that relationship and got into another relationship. They did not give themselves time to know themselves. So please give yourself time. If you've experienced a relationship breakup, give yourself time to get to know yourself again, what you're looking for, what you want out of life. You can begin by asking yourself, what do I like to do? What do I want to spend, or what do I want to spend time on? Who do I want to spend time with? What are my goals? What can I do to make myself feel better? I encourage you to pick one thing that you can do for yourself and start today. Putting yourself on your to-do list is an important part of bringing your life back in balance and health. It's an important part of getting to know yourself. Let go just a little. The concept of detaching is central to codependence recovery. So you have to detach from that. Maybe not detach from your relationship altogether. If you're not broken up, you've had a spat, but just take a little time to get back to who you are and balance yourself. Ground yourself. Take time to do that. Use grounding techniques like breathing, spending time in nature. If you like nature, go sing a movie that you want to see, read a book, paint a picture, whatever you like to do that. That is one of the best ways to balance yourself and get back to who you are, is to actually ask yourself, what do I like? Let's go do that. When you detach, you put some emotional and physical space between yourself and others. It doesn't mean abandoning others or ending relationships. It's not selfish or unloving. Detaching means you stop obsessing about what others are doing and not doing, or feeling or not feeling, their problems, their goals, and so forth. It gives you room to be yourself and take care of yourself. Detaching includes not engaging in conversation, especially arguments, leaving a situation that's uncomfortable or unsafe, staying calm rather than reacting, considering your own feelings, thoughts, and needs, choosing not to enable unhealthy and dangerous behaviors, listening rather than trying to solve or fix problems, not nagging or criticizing, and setting boundaries. Get emotional support. Relationships are hard, especially when they aren't going well. Emotional support can help reduce feelings of loneliness and shame and increase motivation and accountability. If you're feeling these ways, you can call a friend. You can definitely do that, but I think a therapist can be a useful sounding board. And I know sometimes people are saying therapy is too expensive, but my thing is, if you want the best care, it sometimes takes money. Like, even if you had to put a little bit of coins away for one session every 2 months, it's important. Get a jar, put some money in a jar, get a side bank account that you can fund to talk to a therapist. Therapy doesn't have to be every week. Therapy can be once a month, once every 2 months. Just make time to speak to a professional. Okay, guys, I love you guys. One thing I can say is, when you point your finger at another person, you have 3 fingers and a thumb pointing back at you. As if with everything, the best way to love and be loved is to love yourself first. Socrates said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. For us all to move closer to wisdom, I think it's the very first thing we should do is get to know ourselves and learn to love ourselves without seeking outside validation. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I love you. I will see you later. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.